So joining us now, member of the Intelligence and Armed Services Committee's independent Senator Angus King of Maine. Senator King, great to have you on the show. I want to get your takeaway from the Justice Department's IG report, but more specifically, the Attorney General's reframing of it.
Well, I never thought I'd look back to Jeff Sessions with fondness, but I thought that it was breathtaking. And combined with what he did at the time of the Mueller report of mischaracterizing that, the report was very, very clear that there was no political bias. It wasn't a witch hunt. It was, in fact, it would have been prosecutorial malpractice to ignore the information that came to the FBI in the summer of 2016. Now, I thought the criticisms of the FISA process were well taken and important. FISA is a very important process, and it's got to be handled with the utmost seriousness and accuracy, because it involves, in effect, wiretapping and examining foreign officials as well as American officials involved in foreign espionage. So I think Christopher Wray had exactly the right response, which was the FBI as an institution acted as it should, followed the evidence as it should, but we have some real improvements to make in the FISA process. I think that's a well-balanced and completely accurate response to the report.
Yeah, and Director Wray said we already enacted some reforms to help remedy what we saw in that report. I'm curious, Senator, your reaction to this parallel investigation we're getting from John Durham, the prosecutor who's working hand in hand with Attorney General Barr. The reaction yesterday effectively was, don't worry about that IG report. Keep your eye, and the president has said this as well, on the Durham report. What do you understand about this report and what the Attorney General is looking for here?
Well, in the first place, I've never heard a U.S. attorney come out in the middle of an investigation and make an announcement like that. That was what Comey was criticized heavily for, 2 years ago. There was no reason to make that statement. I would love to know or see if there were communications between Bill Barr and Mr. Durham yesterday to generate that comment. I don't know where that's going. The IG did an exhaustive study. It was 400 pages long. By the way, this is the second IG report that's looked at these issues within the FBI. And again, there wasn't any political bias. They started an investigation based upon information that came from the ambassador from Australia, who heard information about the stolen emails. They had to open that investigation. If they hadn't, I don't know where we'd be. I'm worried about what's going on with this guy up in Connecticut. He has a good reputation. And I don't really understand, but when you start using the Justice Department to go after your enemies, that's very, very dangerous. I just finished a chapter yesterday in a great book on impeachment about the Nixon years. And the integrity of Elliot Richardson was an incredibly important part of getting to the bottom of what happened in Watergate. And I just don't feel that the fellow that we have now in any way measures up to that standard.
Well, Senator, you say that Durham has a good reputation. We may need to put that in past tense, because can you or can anyone justify an officer of the court during an ongoing investigation putting out a statement deliberately intended to undermine an IG's report when there is no other reason than to be carrying the president's water as a PR hack for doing that?
Well, you put your finger on it. It's the timing. If he'd have made the statement 6 months from now or 2 months ago or something, saying, we're still looking into this matter, we haven't concluded anything. But to have it come out yesterday, obviously intended to, as you say in the news business, step on the story of the IG report, is really concerning. As I say, it suggests political manipulation of the Justice Department and the justice system, which is it undermines confidence. There's no excuse for it. I've been around law for 50 years, and I've never seen anything exactly like that.
So let me ask you also, Senator, what is your reaction every Sunday morning you wake up and you see another member of the United States Senate going on a news program and deliberately spouting Russian propaganda, deliberately spouting talking points from Vladimir Putin and the GRU and others, who have been deliberately trying for 3 years to push the message that now senators like Ted Cruz, senators like Senator Kennedy are pushing, despite the fact they've been warned by the intel communities not to do this, that this is Russian propaganda. And we even heard from the FBI director yesterday. He knows of no evidence of Ukraine trying to influence our election. But of course, he and everybody else said that Russia, all the other intel agents that Trump appointed, directors said that actually what Russia was doing was an imminent threat to American democracy.
Well, I've been on the Intelligence Committee, as you know, since I've gotten here, and for the last 3 years, we've probably had 25 or 30 hearings, briefing, meetings on what happened in 2016. I have never heard the word Ukraine mentioned once. It's just not in the picture. And what these guys are doing is mixing up the deliberate, systematic campaign of the Russians to undermine our elections with the fact that some politicians in the Ukraine wrote op-eds saying they didn't like candidate Trump sanctioning the annexation of Crimea by Putin. If somebody running for president of France said, I think Spain should take back Florida, I think our politicians might react to that, and that's exactly what they did. But to put those things, to confuse those things, is really, I think, deliberately throwing sand in the air. And as you point out, a lot of this goes back to Putin in February of 2017, trying to cast blame back on Ukraine. They shouldn't do it. I mean, that's, you know, to use the word interfere. I think Ted Cruz used the word meddle. Well, okay, they wrote an op-ed, but it's not on anything like the scale, and it's apples and oranges. That's an understatement.
All right, Senator Angus King, thank you very much. Great to get your perspective here.